this video, you are going to learn how to easily pull together a beautiful springtime cemetery arrangement for a loved one. Well, spring has sprung here in New Hampshire, and it is time for me to make a springtime cemetery piece, so I thought I would just share the process with you. I've gone ahead and I have put, this is actually an old piece of foam, but it's going to work for this particular project. I filled my container with foam. I've actually put it in a glass mason jar because of the point on it. It doesn't lie flat, but I've had to wedge, this is just a bottom of a floral stem, but I've had to wedge that in so that it stays straight. It was just a little too loose for the container. So as I turn it around and you see that, you'll know exactly what that is. I'm going to go ahead and start with my main flower. For this particular spring project, I'm doing tulips. I have white, I have orange, and then as my accent, I'm either going to put in purple irises, which are beautiful, or these stems, which I picked up at the dollar store, the different colored purple, I absolutely love. For my greenery, I have this type of bush. It's plastic and it has the little orange balls on it, which I think will be real lightweight and airy, but I'm going to wait to see till I get my flowers in. I also have a couple different types of grasses. Now this is perfect for outdoors because it's heavy plastic and will definitely hold up, and it does kind of mimic the tulip leaf itself. I've got it in the lighter green, and then I also have it in the purple. And I'm thinking that maybe this would be a great accent to go along with the purple flower. But I'm just going to wait and see. First step, after I put my greens in, I want to start with my focus flower, and that's going to be my white tulip. So I'm going to put all my other flowers aside. And I am going to choose the tallest. This one is good for the center. Now, if you're doing this for outside, you want to make sure you're using a hot glue gun to really get these to stay nice and firm. That's my top tier. Now I'm going to go down to my second tier, and I am going to be putting this at an angle. Just show you that. I'm going to place another one on the other side. Putting one here in the back, and I'm going to put one on this side. Now, a lot of my work, I tend to work very natural and whimsy, so I don't tend to be all the time symmetrical. I just tend to like that look a little bit better, and that's what I'm going for in this piece. Okay, this one I'm putting in a little bit lower. I'm trying to create the tiers that I created in that last Memorial Day piece that I made, and I will be sure to link that at the end of the video so you could watch that. If you have to, you want to cut these stems at an angle. That makes it easier for them to poke through the oasis. Okay, so I've got my white florals done. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my orange. I don't want one as high as the top white one, just a little bit shorter. And I might need to cut these a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. I try to keep my florals as long as possible until I'm sure I have to cut them. I'm working on a Lazy Susan, which makes it a lot easier to be able to just check your arrangement on all your sides. That would be a great item for you to pick up if you want to work on floral projects like this. Okay, now I'm moving down to this last tier. different variety of colors, florals that you could put into this piece really is limitless. And we will talk about whether you want to put a bow. You don't have to put a bow, but you might want to. Look at how springy that is. Oh, love it. Okay, so now we have to decide whether we're going to do some irises. I have a few. I have 3 or 4 irises, and then I have some of this other green. I think I'm going to put a few of these in, starting with the tallest. I'm going to put it up here at the top. Now again, I'm going more for that, a little bit more of a wild look, like you just picked the bouquet out of your yard and put it in this vase. Now I'm going to start to add some of these other purple flowers in. I'm not quite sure if I want the lighter purple or the darker purple. I might actually do a mix of both. This one here, the tallest, I'm going to try to put up towards the top, and I'm going to leave the 2 of them together and then separate it once I get it in. Again, these are bendable. I did get these at the dollar store, and they're bendable, which makes them great. I'm going to add in a few of the lighter purple. Now with these, you would want to spray them with some type of UV protectant, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. I'm going to do one more. Now I'm going to see about this. What I love is the airiness and the dark. It's darker than any other green that I have in here, and I really like that. You always want to try to use a variety of different color tones. This is getting full. It's getting hard to find space to push that through. through. That's just going to lighten up because the tulip is a rather heavy flower. So this is really going to help to lighten things up, which is what we want. We want to give it that nice airy look. The thing I love about making these pieces is you can take them apart, reuse all the flowers, make something a little different for next year. If you're finding that some of these leaves look too heavy, you could always snip that off if it's just too heavy in the arrangement for you. See how pretty that's looking? I'm going to add a little bit more greenery. Keep working at it. Now what I'm going to do down here, I want it to cascade a little bit down the bottom to soften up the edge of the cup. So I am going to put this in. I might have to actually trim this a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it a little bit, take some of the heaviness off. Try that. See how that just softens? I'm going to go all the way around the base of the vase. Almost there. Okay, so as you can see, I have greened up my base, and now it's time to add my bow. I want something that's definitely not going to take away from the piece, but it's going to accent it. And I think I'm planning on putting my bow right about here. Since it's spring, I am going with a lime green and white striped bow. I think that will be very, very striking. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm just going to get an idea of what I want for tail, keeping in mind that that point will be in the ground. I think I'm probably going to do about 12 inches, and then I'm going to pinch it and unwind. I usually put this on the floor, so I have plenty of ribbon. It's just easier to work with. And then now because of the size of this container's not huge. So I don't want to make a bow that is overpowering, too big. And this ribbon is rather wide, so I just want to keep that in mind. I could use thin ribbon, but again, at the gravesite, I want it to stand out. So I'm either going to do a 4-loop or a 6-loop bow, and I will show you what I mean by that. I've taken my ribbon and I folded over and pinched it, so I have about 6 inches folded in half, which would leave me with about a 3-inch loop. And because the ribbon is not double-sided, once I pinch that, I have to twist it so that I have the pattern facing me. Hoping you can see that with the light. Then I'm just flipping it back around, and I'm eyeing to try to make these even. I'm pinching it again in between my fingers, twisting it, pinching it. Now, if you have a hard time, you could use a clothespin to hold all of this ribbon as you continue to work to make your bow. Pinching it. Okay, this is a 4-loop bow. So let's hold this up to our piece and see what we think. I like the 4-loop bow, but I think I'm going to go for 6. So I'm simply pinching it, making this one just a little bit longer because I plan for this to hang on the bottom. Twisting it, you see that? So those are my 6 loops, 3 on each side. I'm going to cut this, then I'm going to take some wire. I've got this all pinched together in my fingers. Okay, 3 on 3. Take some wire. You could use pipe cleaner for this. I use pipe cleaner quite a lot. And then I'm going to fold it over the wire, and I'm actually going to twist the ribbon. And that's going to make it nice and tight. Cut the wire. And then I'm going to take one of these wood sticks that has the wire on it, and I am actually going to wrap it with the ribbon, because this is how I'm going to put this down into my floral piece. So you want to make sure that it's wrapped really, really well. And I would use some hot glue on this. Just for the sake of the video, time of the video, I didn't use any glue. But for all of this, I would definitely use hot glue on the pieces. You could put some florist tape on this if you wanted to. You could certainly to insert this in our floral piece with the pick. Down in nice and tight so we know that is not going to go anywhere. Oh, what a pop of spring, huh? It's beautiful. You do, if I didn't mention earlier, you do want to try to pick ribbon that's a little bit more weather resistant. There you have it. See how simple and how easy and how quick? Let me pull this out of here. Sorry. Here is a spring cemetery piece for you to make unique, depending on what colors you choose, what flowers. Could be so different, but it really is just such a special way to remember someone